Hey y'all, this is Brett, and tonight I'm gonna make kombucha. And I've made it about 8 or 10 times now, something like that, and so I'm starting to get the gist of it, the hang of it. And what you have to do to start is buy you a Scobie. And you want to have clean hands. These are pretty clean hands when you touch these because you don't want to contaminate them. But this is what a Scobie looks like. It's kind of slippery. Come here, you little Scobie. That's a big, thick one. That's a really super thick one. And this is called the mother Scobie, or the one that you save, like a thick one that you use to make your tea. And so first what you want to do is boil some tea. So I'm going to load this pot with some water, and then we'll put some tea bags in there with some black tea. I have a mixed tea that I bought from Kombucha Kamp, and Kombucha Kamp with a K is where I bought the Scobie too, and you can get it through them on Amazon as well. That's what I did. So you want to start with there's a recipe. Hang on a sec, I'll grab it. Okay, so I got my instructions out, and that comes with your Scobie. And it says to start out by boiling 4 cups of water, so we're doing that. And then I bought some tea. You don't have to buy their specialty tea. It just needs to be like a black tea. This is a mixture of different teas from them, Kombucha Kamp. But get you a little tea bag that you can put some tea into, and it says to put 4 to 6 teaspoons, but if I add 4, that's usually good, and if I add more, it's kind of too strong. And you learn from experience. Oops. What works and what doesn't. And it all kind of depends on the kind of sugars that you're using and how much you're using. And the tea, and how long you leave this in the water to boil. But let's see. You steep for 7 to 15 minutes. Okay, so this is my brewing vessel, as it's called, and it's 2 gallons, and I bought it at Walmart. And it's pretty thick glass, so I doubt it'll break, but I'm only going to make a half a batch this time, which is 1 gallon. And so what you do is you put your tea in there. And now I'm going to get this going to boiling, and then I'm going to pour that into there and let it sit for 7 to 15 minutes. I'll probably let it sit closer to 15, and then we'll go from there. Now in the past I've made a full batch, 2 gallons, and that's kind of a lot for me because I have this small fridge, and that's something to think about. This isn't a full-size fridge, and there's only so much room in there for bottles of kombucha. Now, if you put it in a large quart, then you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck in regards to the room in there, you know, because those little bottles, and I've got a bunch of them. I've saved a bunch of these bottles because they have good caps, these Synergy bottles. You have good caps that you can use over and over again, and you can do those for individual size portions. But if you just get yourself like one of these big 64s, then you can get a lot more kombucha for your room in your fridge. And so I'm probably going to do that. And the thing for me is that I've learned is that I'm really not all that grooving with making a bunch of different fruit kinds, you know, like that you buy at the store. Because the more fermenting it is, the more it's going to blast all over the place when you go to open it. Not into it. I mean, it's kind of interesting to have different fruit flavors, but you can add fruit later, you know, and to have like carbonation, it's more of a pain in the ass than it's worth, and so I don't do it anymore. I only did that in the beginning. I just drink plain kombucha. I can always add fruit to it if I want. Okay, so now I poured the hot water into the vessel. And it's going to steep. I'm going to put the lid on it. There's the lid. Let's put the lid on there. Keep the heat in for a little bit there. Okay. Ready to take the tea bag out now. Still hot, very hot. Now I'm going to add the sugar, and you know I'd never use white sugar. In fact, I'm going to use sorghum, which is a natural sugar. And if you've never heard of sorghum, check out my video on sorghum. If you go to my homepage and you click on the little magnifying glass next to description, then you'll be able to look up any kind of a video that you may need to look up. So it says to use 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of white sugar. But I've found that a 1/2 cup of sorghum is really good because it doesn't take as much for some reason. Sorghum is so yummy. It's like North American cane sugar. It is actually a grain, and it grows in a cane. And this is from Muddy Pond sorghum, which is Amish people in Tennessee. And it's just gooey yummy. Now I'm going to add water until I get a 1/2 gallon, or I'm sorry, a full gallon, which is half of this full container here. So it needs just a little bit more. Pretty good. Okay, make sure that I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so now we're going to add the Scobie, and we're going to add some of the liquid that's in the Scobie. I'm going to wash my hands a little bit just to make sure that it's clean enough, even though I've already washed my hands. And I'm going to grab the Scobie, the big fat one, and put it right in there. And now I'm going to dump some of the liquid in there. But I gotta leave enough for this other Scobie here to hang out. In fact, I'm going to bring some of this tea over to here to feed this Scobie, because the juices in here don't have much, if any, sugars left in them because I haven't made this for a while. All of the kombucha bacteria has consumed all of the juices in that. So what I need to do is feed that Scobie, or it will die, it'll start to go bad. That's the basic understanding that I have for this deal. So I'm going to feed it some of that sugar. Okay, and now if I want, I can add some water back to this to make that higher for what I lost into here. Okay, so now I got to put covers on these, and what I've done is I've made these organic cotton cloth covers, and I just sewed around the edges so they don't fray. This one I just washed because it was on this cover here, and this one's a little bigger, so I'm going to use it for this one. And I've got a big ass rubber band to put on top of that one because the mouth is really wide. Okay. So that'll dry. This is still wet. I had to wash it really good because it had some dust on it. But I rinsed it out really good and it's nice and clean. And the other one, I just made this one, brand new one. Bear in mind you can't put a lid on this. You know, you can't put a lid on these because they've got to breathe. Okay, so there we go. And now we're going to put them in a nice warm place. And it's warm enough now to keep it out here in the... Oh, maybe not. Actually, it's kind of occasionally been getting cold. It's the springtime, as you probably know. Unless you're watching this in the future. It is the spring of... I'm going to clean all that off. Look at all that dust. That's no good. So you want to get a really good environment. So I'm going to clean that table off really nicely before I put those over there. So I hope you enjoyed this, and sometime in the future I'll be giving some Scobies away because I'll get extras. That's what happens. When those are sitting in the jar, they grow more layers of Scobies. And then you have to give them away to friends. It's perfect because the kombucha has medicinal qualities in that it breaks up like lactic acids in your muscles. And it really helps me to stimulate, like I've got some knots in my jaw. And when I consume the kombucha, it instigates me to, like I can feel it tingling, like kind of, it wants you to start massaging the knots. It makes you do it. And so it opens your body up like all the other different acids that you consume, like lemon juice or a very similar apple cider vinegar, because kombucha is like a vinegar. And so these things open your body up and they release residues that have accumulated in your body. That's why they're so important. So thanks so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up. Oh, and bear in mind, please subscribe on Patreon if you'd like to see all of my videos, because I'm not going to post all of the videos for free on YouTube anymore. A lot of them, at least probably half of them, I'm going to post as a non-listed video, and only the subscribers that have paid, the paid subscribers, will get to see those. So check it out. Thanks so much. Hope you're well.